All right, so if you got to this point, you're on the 6th bonus reel, which means you've seen the other 5, hopefully. So you already know what this is about. It's an extension of the session that we just finished talking about. So let's move right into the points at hand, all right? Let's do it. Now, hip hop, like other forms of culture, has grown and evolved to meet a variety of needs. Now, in its younger days, hip hop spoke and thought like a young person. It spoke with a very young voice, primarily concerned about the immediate issues of their respective regional communities. But as the culture got older and went from being a regional success to a worldwide phenomenon, the culture had to reflect that. It went out of its way to become more aware of the people inside the culture as well as outside the culture. Now, hip-hop as a culture has sought to grow just as its followers do, but tries to reflect the growth and maturation of those followers. Now moving into its 3rd generation, hip-hop as a culture continues to learn and develop a clearer and deeper understanding of itself and its role in the world. And it hopes to pass that kind of information along to the followers of hip-hop culture. Now, as my fan base and I get a little bit older and longer in the tooth, as they say, I try to personally incorporate more mature themes in my music. This not only shows my personal growth, but shows that I'm not scared to connect with my fans on a more mature and deeper level. I believe it's essential to make this kind of connection through my music. Now let's talk about how sometimes concerts function like worship services. Now, in most religious practices, there's a dynamic that exists. It's the idea of the pastor or minister standing before his proposed flock, preaching his worldview in relation to the doctrines or creeds that he himself may follow. Now, that dynamic has long existed. Now, crowds coming from miles away to watch one of these ministers or pastors stand before them preaching their respective gospels or truth has always been commonplace in our society. I argue that this same dynamic exists within hip-hop culture in the form of the concert. Now, the settings, the practices, and sometimes the presentations can be very similar. And because of their perceived knowledge and power, both come very close to idolatry. There's a very thin line being walked here, and it takes a very strong sense of oneself, whether it be the pastor or the poet, to keep yourself focused and centered on what truly matters. Now we can talk about how rap lyrics can sometimes take on a sacred text quality. Let's use the Notorious B.I.G. as an example. Now, hailing from Brooklyn, New York, the Notorious B.I.G. is often looked at as one of hip-hop's deepest thinkers as well as their greatest writers. Now, even though his career and his life were cut short, his words and his legacies continue to live on and inspire. He created a song called The 10 Crack Commandments. Let's talk about that. Now, in the eyes of the Notorious B.I.G., this code is extremely crucial because not following this proposed doctrine could get one ostracized from the trade or in even worse cases get someone hurt or killed. Now, by following these commandments, one can often find success, influence, and even admiration. Though not necessarily religious in terms, these commandments are somewhat seen as a code of conduct that many view as a form of ghetto gospel and take very seriously. Now, this is, of course, in parallel to many religious doctrines where the notion that the few that go astray from the flock leave themselves open to many different things. Well, there you have it. We've talked about how hip-hop has matured. We've talked about how people that follow hip-hop has matured. And we've talked about how that maturation is reflected within the music and the practices within hip-hop culture. We've also talked about different ways in which hip-hop can be viewed and practiced as a sort of religion for many people. I've also shared personal examples about how my own maturation and my own growth as an artist has been reflected through my music and then passed on to the people that listen to and follow my movement. So as always, make sure you take advantage of the reading, make sure you take advantage of the teaching assistant shoutouts, but more importantly, get involved deeper in the conversation. Extend it out to social media. Take advantage of all that this world has to offer. Remember, you won't know if you don't ask. We really hope that these sessions were as fulfilling for you as they were for us. And we hope that we helped to answer a lot of the hard questions. And if we haven't, that's okay. You can go out in the world and continue to ask them to other people and to yourself. Thanks for watching this, and keep your eyes open for me and Dr. Penn as we may come back with another one of these classes. You never know. Holla at your boy.